Hello everybody. We're starting the stream I did last time. We're going to be playing Farming Simulator 25, and we're going to be trying to pay back a $25 million loan. I haven't changed anything because I actually, after looking at one of the mods that I was going to change, it looks like I actually have a building I can use already. At least according to the mod files, so I'll just end up using that instead of doing something else. Instead of adding something anyways. I'm gonna give the game a second to load. Shouldn't have clicked off the game. I need to remember doing that when it's loading in, because it has a tendency to not like that. So by the way, it's been, I don't know, like 5 days, I think, since I last played, so like give me 1 second to check my bearings. So, I think we learned last time what needs to happen is it needs to be the little tractor things instead. It needs to be the ATV version of these. It seems to work better. So we will go back to using those to collect grass. That for whatever reason it just has some issues with this, and the wiggling back and forth just takes extra time, and then plus it also takes extra processing power from the computer. And although my computer is more than good enough to handle it, if I have to use like 10, 15, 20 of them, obviously that's a big issue. So obviously I would rather avoid that if I could. So we'll just continue on with what we were doing. We will let the mower mow, because I believe that should be working just fine as is. It shouldn't have, I know the regular AI worker can sometimes have issues where it'll just stop. Nope, it looks like the Horseplay one has some issues. Give me 1 second. So I believe I'm gonna back it up a tiny bit. Yeah, so the little mini map what it was doing. No clue what is going on with YouTube Studio issues. So either way, I think I found one thing I could use. I need to make sure I fill up each of the different things. That way I'm actually selling grass from, or soilage from each of them. Yeah, so there are a couple of buildings that I can place down that actually have storage for the dry grass that I'm picking up at the moment. Went one further than I was supposed to. Yeah, but I should probably just drop off 2,000 and 2,000 and stuff, but honestly, yeah, it's probably just a better idea if I do that. As we'll drop on the last one in a minute, and that should be fine. So yeah, so now our big thing is that we'll fill all of this with grass, and then I'll start, I might need to actually sell some grass to pay our worker. So I'll probably drop the next thing of grass in to there. That might have been my issue last time. I think I ran out of money. But yeah, I need to save up basically like 50,000, I think. Because I think what happens is we pay the worker like every 5 to 10 minutes of in-game time, and they get paid based off of actual time and not necessarily in-game time. So you know what? Let me collect on the way back. I don't necessarily care if I'm missing a little bit of the grass on the way back, but I do need to make sure I'm collecting enough trying to think how much money I actually need. Yeah, I think I pay the worker every minute, and it looks like it is like $25 a minute. So in theory, I could pay them for like 10 minutes. And yes, due to the way I'm having to do this, I actually do need to take advantage of every minute, which is why we're going to be playing at half speed. I really do hate that YouTube Studios apparently just having like issues on Chrome. So I can't even see chat because for whatever reason it doesn't pop up chat for me either on OBS. Not that it matters too much for the most part, but still. It does kind of suck that that's the case. Yeah, I'm gonna need to dump this grass just to make sure that I have money for them, because I do need them to continue cutting grass. I can probably drive back one more time and it'll be okay. Not have to worry. If anything, I'll just drop off the like 2,000-ish. That's all it can manage anyhow. Drop like a few hundred here. Okay, that should have them good enough for right now. Ah, there we go. Now Chrome is working fine. Whatever reason the stream is behind by several minutes. Either way, it's fine. I know most people think paying back a $25 million loan would be easy, but environmental score, which is good. I think that means it's taking into consideration that nothing is over. So basically, I figured out the way the environmental score works, and yes, it is terrible on grass. If you over-fertilize or overline the grass, you get a penalty for how much you over-fertilize or overline the grass, which means it really is just better not to. You make a choice. You do nothing at all, or you do a lot. But either way, it is a big issue. I know the brightness does kind of suck right now, but it's just gonna be what it's gonna be. Doing stuff that way, whatever. We'll just sell this grass. We'll finish mowing that. Yeah, then I know I could have had this, collect the grass, and sell it, but the issue is that it was going to take a lot more time with it going back and forth the way it was. Now then, I could just let it mow, and I can just start mowing from closer so I can fell grass quicker, but I don't think that that's actually going to matter much in the grand scheme of things for me, because the goal is I'm just selling some grass to make sure that I have a worker doing some stuff for me, and my money is going to come from the soilage itself. And plus, most of the grass that I'm going to throw in is just going to be for buying more of these, because the more grass that I can get processed into actual soilage, the better, because it is worth a bit more money. $6. I'll go to the back side. Oh, I literally only have these two? Okay, yeah, that's fine, I guess. I think I was checking to see what would be better. Yeah, it's a little bit more on this side. Okay, yeah, so I need to make sure I'm all constantly going to the top side and coming back down. Anything I miss, I'm just going to have to accept that I'm going to miss. By grabbing what's further away first, I'm actually giving the mower extra time to mow the extra stuff, because I'm driving twice as fast. All the extra trips I do aren't going to be as big of a deal. Now, but a lot of what's over here just isn't that good to collect, though, but I'm gonna take what I can take. If I could save up to a Ford wagon, I could actually help myself out quite a bit, because I'd be collecting twice as much, but I basically have to save up to about 50,000 to, or not 50,000, up to, almost 100,000. Every time I drop off grass, it's 250, so, you know, that's going to take a long time. But with the soilage, it'll take half as long, but I have to get through basically 2 hours to get an hour done. And I need to maintain it that way because I'm going to have to sell a decent portion of the grass. Now then, I could get rid of the worker and collect everything and mow everything myself. And that would probably be a much better idea for me, because I can stay closer the whole time, but that still doesn't change anything for me. Even if I can hit every single one of them and have them all topped off, it's 2,000 each at, like, what is it, like 75, I think? So it's 75, and I think we have 8 at the moment. So what, it's like going to be like 150 each. So what, 1,500, I think. Right, that's how much soilage is worth. Like, normal grass is worth, what? $41 at the moment. soil that's just near the bottom. Yeah, so soilage is worth 3 times as much. Let's, well, you know, let's just call it 120 average. So at 120 at 40, so what? Every trip would increase by quite a bit. Now then, I know I could technically sell the soilage early by picking it up, but the issue is I keep hitting the wrong button. We're not talking about having access to all that much. Now, it is something, and yes, I can sell it early. I don't have to let it sell it. You know, I can actually get some decent money out of it. But that isn't even really where the problem is. I may grab some of it. Well, actually, I'll probably grab all of it because it'll fit, and I'll sell it. But, you know, it's not going to make that big of a difference in the grand scheme of things. I mean, it'll add up, but like I said, it's not going to make that big of a difference in the grand scheme of things. Be like saying soda is expensive because the place sells waters for $0.25. I want to say this is totally doable because, like I said, I'm pretty sure, like I said in my previous stream, I'm pretty sure this whole field is worth about 400 to 500,000 ish, at least in just grass, or as grass turned into soilage, at a minimum, on the low end. So, you know, I think if I can mow everything and get most of it turned into soilage, which is going to be a big issue, just because I need to, like, I have two options. I either upgrade my stuff so much that the next time I go to mow everything, I can do everything myself, and make the money. I should probably just jump to these ones. I just want to make sure they have over 2,000. We'll pick up the soilage from each of them real quick and we'll sell it. I mean, you know, it does add up. It just doesn't make sense. isn't it giving me the... Oh, you know what? Yeah, I have to have it on distributing. I think distributing or storing, I think it can't be on selling for me to collect it myself. Yeah, I'm gonna fill up like 200 at a time relatively quickly. It collecting from all of them would be a little annoying, but I could probably make something that I could have all the soilage distribute to that would make this process a lot easier. Have it distribute to one thing, but still. And then we can go and we can sell it here. And that was a little over 3,000-ish. And we'll get a decent amount of money from it. But like I said, like, it doesn't make sense to do that because, you know, like, okay, so that was 335. You know, so there was only $100 more. Like, it just makes more sense to have it auto sell all at once than waste time collecting it myself. It just doesn't make sense to go through all of that effort. Again, I might just let this finish mowing and I may mow an area. I may just opt to make a custom area for it to do stuff. Necessarily care if it's picking up a little bit from the next row, but you want to pick up pretty much all of this row first. Would want to start over on this map. Obviously, I had a couple of issues. I know I didn't do this properly the first time either, which doesn't help anything.
think buying these two buildings, like, did make this unintentionally way harder than it needed to be, though. Because I could have started with this, or, you know, I could have even gone with the normal, could have went with my John Deere that I normally like using. I could have started with that. I could have started with a mower. And been able to mow everything with relative ease, because that would have been 60,000. And could have started off with this, you know, started with the whole mowing setup. But that would have literally, like I said, it would have made things too easy to start with. There would have been no struggle. Now then, realistically, I don't need the other machine. I don't need it doing anything. I just have it cut stuff because I really hate doing it myself to a degree. I don't mind the collecting thing. I don't mind using the windrower to do stuff. Like, literally what my problem is literally just collecting it. Or actually mowing it. Because the problem is a lot of the mowers don't stop mowing on their own. So, like, it really is just, like, it doesn't make sense. So, like, I swear to God, like, sometimes, like, the game overdoes everything I'm doing. Now, then recently I played, Drill into it. I'm probably going to play that tomorrow instead of playing this, but I do intend on playing this for at least 2 hours, at least get to the next hour so I can try to figure out where I'm at. Yeah, I think I'll set the things up to sell on their own again. I don't want to have to deal with it. Plus, I feel it's better to have a big chunk of money come in all at once. But yeah, I do think, starting off with a normal mower would have probably have been a better idea, but or starting off with a full 100,000 probably would have been the better idea. Maybe even just starting with the cheapo tent instead of the more expensive tent. Is basically starting with like $25,000 to do stuff is problematic. Now again, I could totally save a bunch of money by not hiring this worker to do stuff. But at this point, I've kind of already committed to having the worker mow. If it is the one thing that I dislike, it's mowing with, in the early game. And not even necessarily with this, but it's just like the whole process of it. Even though I still basically am only mowing in this game, I haven't like really gotten to farming. Definitely not going to get to farming on this. I know that unless I make a ton of money in this, like I said, I would need to make it minimum $500,000 to have a setup where I could say I could comfortably do, like, mow all the grass in, like, 2-3 days. able to process it in whatever way I'm going to process it, to actually be able to pay back the loan. Because having the money to pay back the initial $83,000 is fine, but the issue is you need that for 3 days in a row to let the grass grow back. And I swear sometimes, like, I go to do a small turn and I put my finger off and it still like spins all the way around. But yeah, like, I mean, you have to like really think about it. You need to have what, like 25, you need to have $250,000 every 3 days, which, like I said, is like half the field of the whole map. And that's turning it into silage, which means you need like the whole field if you're turning it into as grass. Now that I have a couple of tricks I could do, obviously I can upgrade the little things and can make them a lot better, and they'll make 7,000 graphs an hour, but even that is going to cost 10,000 for each one. And I do know about 10 of them is like about the right amount. But even still, that's 100,000 that I need to collect. And if I'm gonna have to save up 100,000 to do that, there's almost no point. I should probably start dumping grass into them until they're full again, but again, just put them back to filling. Trying to think of what I could potentially do. Three. So let's just say I have 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's just say I have $8,000 in disposable income. It's probably not enough. Yeah, I basically just need to save up to 100,000. If I could do that, how quickly would I have to do that for it to make sense? Yeah, I really do think I'm just gonna have to get rid of the worker. I just think the money spent on the worker probably doesn't make any sense. I'd have to assume. Probably going out all this far into the field too doesn't make any sense. I should just be doing what's closest to me the whole time. I think even if I allowed myself leasing stuff, I don't even necessarily know how much of that would help either. Like, mind you, it would help, but because, like, if I got the big mower, let's say, that requires like $10,000, and I could mow myself and make a whole bunch of different paths and stuff to follow. That's going to cost a good amount of money. I don't know why I'm not going down the other part of this at the moment, actually. What was I thinking? Brain parts like this are also an issue. Trying to think. It's gonna be the smartest move. Yeah, do I have leasing turned off? I might actually have to allow leasing to make things a little more convenient. So I could have the front mower mow, even if I'm paying. And then I could pay an AI to collect all the grass. But that's still gonna cost me like a decent amount of money though. That would cost 600. I don't have enough money at the moment. Still don't have enough money. Yeah, because even if I could do that, like, it still doesn't necessarily change much for me. I'm still doing the exact same thing. How much to grab the forge wagon too, though? Specifically with the additive tank. I don't have enough money for that either. I think even if I had enough money to do it, I don't necessarily think it changes stuff too drastically for me either. I got a phone call to take real quick. Should have probably paused time when I was doing this. Oh well. It's fine. Probably should have paused time, but like I said, like, it's fine. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with YouTube Studios. Like, we recommend your current stream bitrate is 0. It's like, no, I can clearly see what OBS is saying, and it's like, it's as low as like 9,500 kilobits, and it'll go up to like 12 to 13 kilobits, or 12 to 13,000 kilobits every now and again. Hardly matters, but still. Try figuring out what we can do. Actually, delete. I think it's specifically, it has to be the other. Yeah, it has to be the other alt. Or no, I think it was Control Alt. Either way. Yeah, Control Alt 0 for auto drive. We'll keep selling grass for right now. It's fine. Yeah, I may just want the lease and just deal with the extra cost, because as much as I'm okay with this, I think doing it is making it much more difficult than it needs to be for me. Even the cost might be more beneficial, which does kind of suck to say that it's actually, if we check our finances real quick, construction costs, not new vehicles, property maintenance, yeah, we're paying like $4,000. So actually, if anything, we stopped it at the perfect time. Oh, this barely slows down. Also, what am I doing? Yeah, I think I'm just gonna sell it. Okay, so I have 4,000. We'll collect the grass that's on the ground real quick. Yeah, the real question is do I want the lease as an option? And I don't think I do. Leasing probably wouldn't be a terrible idea, but realistically, I think it's just not worth doing. Yeah, without that extra cost looming over, what I could do is I could buy 4 more different things for soilage. That would be at least 1,000 more in grass, or 1,000 more soilage to be made. So what? Because it'd be 2,400. Like, it would probably make sense to do that. Just put down 4 more things for soilage. I could fill them up. Collect my grass afterwards. Yeah, because I'll be tripling the cost of the grass, or the price of the grass. So... It would probably make sense to do that. Especially when you consider what I have would also be kind of perfect. Go. Drop off like 1,200-ish in each of these ones. Drop like 2,000 in this one just so I could so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 is 240,000. Or it's 240,000 soilage that can be made. So 24 times excuse me. So hold up, it's gonna be 24 times 120. So that's like 3,000-ish an hour, which is obviously nowhere near enough. But in theory, I could throw grass into all of them until they're completely full, just about. And I won't have to worry about it for several hours. We could just collect and sell grass. Definitely probably shouldn't be driving out all this way. Well, that's grass, but I will just because it's cut. Collect this. Yeah, I think to do this properly, I have to allow loans. Or I need to have not placed down those other two buildings. I guess I could technically sell those buildings and get a majority of the money back. But I do feel that it's a little cheap to do that. I shouldn't have put some to begin with. I just felt that starting with 100,000 might have been too much money. No, I'm realizing that it was probably the correct amount of money because doing this would be problematic. I could try collecting a bunch of soilage again. I'm pretty sure I can leave it as is. We can collect it. I will just slowly fill up all of these with grass. And then we'll have like 4 hours where I don't have to do anything. in terms of making sure these are filled, I can just sell grass. At the very least, once I collect all the grass that's over here, I will probably decide if I should be leasing stuff or not. Okay. Collect the other row. Dump this. Go to the next one and dump. I went to the wrong side. much available to me. You have a full tank of silage. This should be like 750 plus whatever environmental bonus. Just double check. So I should get up with like a little over 1,000. $717 plus 14. Yeah. $2 anyhow. Some stick drift in its controller, which may make sense just because it is a much older controller that I've been using for several years now. That finish. I'll get to the next one. It is true that this is probably like a big waste of grass, but at the same time it is kind of necessary, so It is what it is. Just going through all of this. We only got a couple more passes to do. Then I can leave these alone for a little bit. I think I will probably just only stream like an hour of this at a time, just so I can kind of think things through on certain things. But yeah, I do think what I may want to do with the hay storage, I think it's under the silos, the villager pack. The hay storage thing apparently isn't just for hay. It apparently does the grass windrows, which is the grass that I'm picking up. The dry grass windrow. so all this grass that I'll pick up in a minute is what's considered dry grass windrow. Obviously, even though it's raining and whatnot right now, you know, the game doesn't necessarily care about that, per se. Just collect some other stuff that was nearby. Actually, yeah, I'm not gonna come back for the rest of this because that's so little. I'll start mowing close to my area. I just think it'll be better for me overall. I think if I were to restart this, I would literally make it so that, I started with a bit more money. I do think, starting with leftover cash wasn't necessarily the best idea. It's still doable, it's just, it's a lot more, involved than I initially intended. I'm on the wrong side. I want to say going this way has the highest quality grass. Or below me might have higher quality grass. I'm not 100% sure. Okay. I just won't turn off my mower. just thought of something. Why is the audio so quiet? No, the game is just that quiet, okay. I don't remember making it that quiet. We'll just drop off everything we can real quick. We'll fill up all of these. And we'll start dumping grass. Should hopefully tide me over for a little bit. Where I don't have to worry about these as much. Because if we're basically for 4 hours, I don't have to worry about them. That'll be a big help. Yeah, at the moment, I don't necessarily care what gets missed. Just collect everything, I guess. I think I will fill up this one and the other 4, and I might actually call it a little early today, just because I still have a couple of other things to do, and that phone call earlier does make me have to go do something. I do not like that, but hopefully I can come back in like an hour or two, and maybe I'll just mess around on digging the well or drill and delve, because I have to do some of the early missions, or some of the achievements that require you to do a new game. So one of them is literally escape within 25 minutes, so I might actually have to do that a couple of tries. Some of the other early game achievements, like, you know, like to do something like quickly, wouldn't be too terrible to do. One of them will require me to make sure I'm using the save I was last time. But then one of the other problems I have is I'm unsure what it means by escape. Because based off of my understanding, it would seem that escaping would require a couple of things. Because I still haven't gotten to the end of the game, but that just might be an issue on my part. There's one part of the game that I am unsure of. I'm unsure of what I need to interact with. Because as it turns out, there is something more to the game. But the issue is they don't make the stuff you need to interact with noticeable. So, like, it may exist, but if it's not noticeable, it would be like in a game where it's just like, hey, to progress the game, you gotta walk up to this stone and hit X while looking at a particular part of it. But typically, you know, every other time it happens in the game, there's an outline over it. So, like, it's not as easy as, like, oh, just go to this spot and find a thing. And then plus, the area that I need to go to has, like, weird gravity well things, too, that's going on. Where it's causing gravity to move up and down. And I have no clue if that object can move or not. But if that object can move, I have no clue where it was, because I was searching around that place before I needed to go there. So it becomes an issue of, it's like, I might have seen what I need to interact with, because it might have been there already. But the problem is I now have no clue where it is. Especially if it's affected by physics. Because if it's affected by physics, it could be outside the building, it can still be inside the building somewhere, but not on the floor it was supposed to be in. Okay. Just keep mowing. Start dumping. Yeah, I'll collect grass and fill up the other two as well, and then I'll go through and fill up all of them until I have extra grass, and then I'll probably stop. You know, so if I get to 2 hours in game, I get to 2 hours in game. If I don't, I don't. I'm pulling out what you need. At some point, I got a new case for my computer I need to move everything into. I gotta do that at some point too. Into the case I have, I can't close, or I can't have the side panel on it because the tubes for my GPU for the water cooling will stop it, and then plus it's also the 12-pin high voltage cable, and I definitely want to make sure that doesn't get loose or jostled or anything. So I don't necessarily want to risk putting the side panel on. Thought about 3D printing one. A different side panel that popped out more, but I just don't think that would be a good idea, considering the case that I'm using has airflow issues to begin with. And it's not that the side panel would have changed much, but it's the question of, you know, if your case already has issues, that you should replace it already. You might as well not bother putting any extra time or effort in. At least on the new case, what I'll be able to do is, because I do use the Blu-ray player, or I use both the Blu-ray player, and I have a USB hub that I could use too, that I want to use. But actually, I probably can't use now that I think about it. At least not on my motherboard, because for whatever reason, it doesn't have two USB 3 outs, which is kind of annoying. By the way, it is something I have to consider, that I don't have certain things to do, but either way, like, I would prefer having the Blu-ray player put in. And the main thing is, you know, it's one thing to have your game files dumped from your disk to use, which is fine and dandy. I do actually believe doing that is when you emulate stuff, but at the same time, it is so nice to just be like, oh, I'm gonna play a different game. I'm gonna just put the disc in, and the emulator just does everything for you, and you don't have to find the files, and you don't have to do all this other stuff. But I do agree that having your game files dumped is for the best. Just in terms of long term, you don't necessarily want something to be broken later, or, you know, your game disc breaks, or, you know, it's not reading it. But if you have the backups of those files, at least you can still use the emulator. Plus, I still do use Blu-ray discs for a couple of things. I do, for certain games, to keep, like, the files in line. because I do have some high capacity Blu-ray discs to burn stuff onto. You know, sometimes it's just kind of nice to be able to, like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna throw X, Y, and Z game onto the disc. Or in one case, I think I have a disc that's literally like, I want to say it is a install of Windows with a game that I can just, you know, throw in and play it off the disc. Well, the disc slowly transfers stuff off to a new drive, which is kind of neat to do. You know, just have a install of Windows 10 that's on a disk that with, you know, whatever you want as your base. So in my case, it's literally like a base install of Windows, no drivers or anything. For all of my different hardware and stuff, it has all the different driver CDs. So, you know, I have driver CDs for all of my different motherboards and whatnot. So literally, I have all the drivers also on that disk where I could just click and install from those from the different folders for all the different drivers specifically for that specific motherboard that it would be. So I do have that, which is very convenient. It's actually super nice being able to do that. To get all of your motherboard drivers that way. But it also will have like the... Actually, no, I don't think I have any of the NVIDIA or AMD drivers installed. I think I literally have it bare bones in that regard. I think it's literally just the motherboard drivers with the chipset and whatnot, even though for the most part they're not super important. But it's just because they don't take up that much space, so I'm not like overly concerned about them. But I have like Left 4 Dead and Portal 2 and a couple of other different games installed. Back when I used to go to my dad's house, I used to regularly have I would regularly take my like literally like 2-3 computers over, and we would all play Left 4 Dead with I guess you could technically consider them like step siblings. You know, my dad's been dating the same person for over 12 years. You know, what are they if they're not step siblings? I mean, you know, so either way, like I would take computers over there all the time. And we would play stuff. I would even take some monitors over. You know, what's the point of having, you know, a good computer with extra hardware at this point? Like, I can have, like, 4 extra computers. 3 of them are actually decent. And by decent, I mean, like, I would still use them. Like, I didn't need to upgrade my computer a lot of times when I upgraded my computer. I don't need a 7900 CPU with a 4090. You know, I bought the 4090 specifically for I didn't buy it for anything else. Like, the only nice thing about my 4090 is that it's retained its value. Like, that is honestly the thing I like most about my 4090. If I wanted to sell it today, I could literally get the price I paid for it. Like, that's how well it's retained its value. You know, I paid just under $2,000 after taxes. My same 4090 still regularly sells for $2,000 used. So it just becomes a thing of just like, ooh, like, I can, you know, get my money back, essentially, over 2 years after I bought it. it's like, oh, what would your backup plan be? Well, my backup plan is a 6900 XT from AMD, which is like, I'm pretty sure it's basically the equivalent, or maybe it's a little bit slower. Like, it might not necessarily be, I think it's like the 9060 XT from AMD right now. Like, it might be like the step down from that or something, like, but it's pretty close to that. It's just like, okay, what do I have to step down to? Like, okay, 6900 XT, 16 gigabytes of VRAM. It's like, okay, yeah, that's good enough. If I had to step down from that, a 3060 Ti, which is technically what's playing this game at the moment. What if I have to step down from that? I have a GTX 1060, which is still good enough for 99.9% of things. Like, it would struggle on this game for sure. You know, I'm not saying it's going to have a good time on all the games I play. I definitely ain't playing on high settings at 2560 by 1440 like I am right now, but you know, like, it's still not a bad GPU. If I had to use my GTX 1060, I could use my GTX 1060. Because 6 gigabytes of VRAM is kind of like the base of what you need to game comfortably. I'm not going to say well or good, just comfortably. That's what you need. You know, I would just lower the resolution down to 1080p. You know, even if I had to jump down from that, I could go down to, although at this point I know the GTX 10 or GTX 780 that I have, or the 7970, like both of those just wouldn't be that good to use anymore, but like I could still just drop down the resolution a bit more. What I do now, there's like basically no support for them anymore, so who knows, but like this is the newest game I play, and I am pretty sure I've seen some people claim to play on older hardware, but also, like, even before I have to go to that, I have a GTX, or no, I have a, you know, so my AMD CPU has a iGPU. You know, that wouldn't be able to play this okay, wouldn't be good, mind you. Again, I'd have to lower the resolution a bit to get good frame rates, because I want to at least maintain over 60. In this case, I'm currently trying to maintain 150 or 144, I believe. Oh no, I'm maintaining 60. I was maintaining over 144. It's just the game has some issues when I try to stream and play this with 144. But yeah, I could go even a step farther than that if I truly wanted to, but it's, you know, like, to some degree it's a question of how far do I want to go. Now that I am going to leave this here, basically. I could sell all of this, but it's going to sell on its own. So I think what I'm going to do going forward is I'm just going to mow and sow the grass. And so it's $2,500 each time for a full tank. I might not do a full amount. I might just do like what I was doing, the 2 little strips, and then I'll sell the grass. Just because I think it's literally just going to be the smartest thing to do. Just do 2 strips going back and forth. You know, get up to 3,000 going this way and then come back. Because I need to get to about 100,000. Again, I don't know if I want to let loans go through or not, but basically if I spend an hour cutting grass, like, I should get pretty close to what I'm trying to get to. You know, 'cause, like, 'cause, like, 'cause, 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 ' decent amount of money. I could still technically also, you know, with some of the money that I would make, I could technically put down more things for soilage, because what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, I can put down another 5 once I get 5,000. Yeah, that's technically another option. May consider doing that. Either way, I think I will end this for now. I'll be back next time. I do believe the next time I play will probably be in 2 days again. Like I said, I may play Digging Delve and try to... I will try, I'm absolutely going to try to 100% it, but if I'm going to have issues finding that one thing without it being a new game, I may not bother with it. So another thing I have to do is I need to mine 500,000 square feet of stuff, and doing that will take a while. So I don't necessarily want to risk doing, you know, basically starting over doing that. So either way, until next time. Yeah, I think, yeah, until next time. I might play this in a couple of days. I may play this later today if I have time to do at least another 2 hours.